In a cold laboratory at the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution, Dr. Sarah Tran stared at the glowing data streams scrolling across her monitors. The deep-sea drones had returned with alarming results. Metal-eating bacteria were consuming the Titanic's remains at a rate 10 times faster than anyone had predicted. Steel beams that once symbolized human ambition were now crumbling into rusted fragments on the floor of the North Atlantic. According to Sarah's models, the legendary ship had less than 6 months before total structural collapse. Determined to act, Sarah presented her findings before the United Nations. She spoke calmly, but urgency cut through every word. The room fell silent until projected costs appeared on the screen. One by one, delegates shook their heads. Preserving the Titanic, they decided, was too expensive, too impractical, too late. Disheartened, Sarah left the chamber alone. That night, she received an unexpected visitor. Elon Vance, a reclusive tech billionaire, revealed a classified technology nanopolymer reinforcement capable of stabilizing the wreck for recovery. The operation had a code name, Lazarus. After hours of doubt, Sarah agreed, unaware she had just crossed the point of no return. A colossal floating base now hovered above the Titanic's resting place, its steel silhouette cutting through the fog of the North Atlantic. Beneath it, 6 kilometers down, history waited. Project Lazarus moved fast. Sarah Tran assembled an elite team, Maya Collins, a structural engineer obsessed with impossible loads, Jack Rourke, a veteran deep-sea diver who trusted machines more than people, and Thomas Hale, a Titanic historian determined to protect the wreck's dignity. Tension ignited almost immediately. Hale and several scientists argued the ship should remain untouched, preserved as a grave beneath the sea. Vance's engineers pushed back. Without intervention, the Titanic would soon be gone forever. Meetings became battlegrounds of ethics versus urgency. The conflict paused when the 3D scan was completed. As the digital model formed, an anomaly appeared deep within the baggage hold, a compact object emitting measurable heat. It didn't match any 1912 schematics. It shouldn't exist yet. It pulsed steadily alive in the cold darkness. Silence filled the control room. Questions had no answers. Hours later, the first expedition crew sealed themselves inside the submersible. As it descended into the black, Sarah watched, knowing reinforcement was only the beginning. Whatever lay inside the Titanic was about to wake up. At 3,800 meters below the surface, the submersible lights revealed the Titanic like a ghost trapped in time. Sarah Tran watched from the control cabin as the nanopolymer deployment began. Thousands of microscopic robots poured into the water, moving in synchronized swarms. They clung to the corroded hull, weaving a transparent shell smooth as glass, stronger than steel over a century of decay. For a moment, everything worked perfectly. Then alarms erupted. As the swarm reached the shattered stern, the most violently damaged section, the robots lost formation. An unexpected deep-sea current surged from below, twisting debris and pulling the swarm off course. The current slammed into the submersible, dragging it dangerously close to the wreckage. If the stern failed, the entire structure could collapse. With no time to surface, Sarah overrode safety protocols and rewrote the swarm's algorithm in real time. The robots adapted, locking together, resisting the flow. Slowly, the current weakened. The polymer hardened. The Titanic's stern held. Encased in its new glass skin, the ship survived another day, and Project Lazarus crossed its first true threshold. Through the eyes of the robotic cameras, the Titanic revealed its inner silence. As the team reinforced interior structures to withstand resurfacing pressure, the footage captured images that stopped everyone cold. Not apparitions, artifacts. A pair of children's shoes perfectly aligned beneath a bunk. A leather suitcase split open, its contents untouched. Inside, a sealed safe. A letter lay folded, unsent, its words preserved as if waiting for a reply that would never come. The discoveries weighed heavily on the crew. Night after night, technicians reported vivid dreams of flooding corridors and distant echoes. Even Sarah felt the strain. Thomas Hale voiced what many feared. Were they preserving history or violating a mass grave? Meetings grew tense, ethics colliding with engineering deadlines. Then, tragedy struck. During a routine operation on the floating base, a mechanical failure sent a support arm collapsing. One engineer was killed instantly. Work stopped. Sirens wailed. Silence followed. Investigations were launched, media pressure intensified, and sponsors began to pull back. As the base lights dimmed, Project Lazarus faced its most dangerous threat, yet not from the ocean, but from the cost of disturbing the past. World media had uncovered Project Lazarus. Headlines screamed outrage. Disturbing a grave and Titanic treasure or desecration trended across continents. Public fury mounted, forcing Elon Vance to hold a global press conference. His promise was solemn. Titanic would never become a theme park. It would stand as a memorial honoring the lives lost over a century ago. Meanwhile, underwater, the engineering team faced their boldest challenge. Using cutting-edge technology, they prepared to fuse the fractured bow and stern with an artificial titanium spine, a skeleton strong enough to support the wreck during its rise. The first weld ignited. Sparks danced across the murky abyss. For the first time in 113 years, the Titanic was whole again, its shattered frame quietly bridging past and present, a ghost of history made tangible once more. The first phase of raising the Titanic had begun. Gigantic helium balloons filled with liquid helium were carefully positioned beneath the hull, generating enough lift to free the ship from the mud that had held it captive for over a century. Slowly, the wreck began to rise, a ghost emerging from the depths. Then alarms blared. The suction effect of the compacted seabed, a force far stronger than predicted, threatened to tear the Titanic in half. Red lights flashed across every console. The hull creaked ominously, metal groaning under centuries of pressure. Sarah and the engineering team acted instantly. Tiny precision explosives were placed under the mud in calculated positions. With a coordinated detonation, the seabed fractured just enough to release the grip of the mud. The Titanic shuddered but held together. Breathless, the crew watched as the ship's hull finally lifted inch by inch from its watery grave, a fragile victory against the forces of time and nature. The Titanic rose slowly through the inky column of the North Atlantic, inch by inch, suspended between darkness and light. Every movement was painstakingly calculated. Any sudden shift in pressure could shatter century-old artifacts, turning priceless history into irretrievable ruin. The operation would take 48 grueling hours, a test of patience, engineering, and nerve. At first, the ascent was steady, almost serene as the black water slid past the hull. Then the sky darkened. A storm, sudden and violent, erupted on the surface. Waves crashed against the floating base and wind tore at the stabilizing cables holding the Titanic's fragile frame. The guiding lines strained, threatening to snap. Red alarms screamed across every console, warning that the ship could plummet back to the seabed, crushing itself and every artifact within. Sarah and the team faced a harrowing choice: release the ship and abandon history to the depths, or hold it fast and risk disaster. Every hand on the controls, every eye glued to the monitors counted the seconds. They chose courage. The crew fought the storm tension coiling in every muscle. Slowly, the Titanic hung suspended like a wounded leviathan, a century-old relic caught between ocean and sky, fragile yet unbroken, a monument in waiting. The storm had finally passed. Dawn broke over the North Atlantic, spilling soft golden light across the restless waves. Around the world, people watched breathlessly through live flycams, drones, and news feeds. The sea still frothed and churned, a final reminder of the ocean's relentless power, yet nothing could halt what was about to unfold. Slowly, majestically, the bow of the Titanic pierced the surface, cutting through foam and spray. For the first time in 113 years, the ship met the sun. Its nanopolymer hull gleamed like liquid crystal, reflecting every ray of dawn. The decades of darkness and decay seemed to lift as light danced across its reinforced frame. Silence engulfed the rescue fleet. The crew stood motionless, eyes fixed on the historic sight. No cheers rang out. Only a single solemn blast of the memorial horn echoed across the waves, honoring the lives lost and the century of memory the Titanic carried. For a fleeting moment, the ship was both past and present, a bridge between tragedy and survival. Humanity had reclaimed a piece of history not as a spectacle, but as a monument to endurance, memory, and the fragile beauty of life preserved beneath the sea. The Titanic finally rested in a massive, specially designed dry dock in New York. The ship was immediately sealed in a sterile environment. Prolonged exposure to oxygen could accelerate its disintegration, undoing over a century of preservation. Every moment was critical. Inside, the archaeological team donned protective suits and entered the eerily silent corridors. Their cameras illuminated decades of untouched history artifacts frozen in time. When they reached the mysterious safe discovered in Part 2, anticipation crackled in the air. With careful hands, they opened it and found not jewels or gold, but blueprints. Detailed schematics for a revolutionary clean energy source drawn by Thomas Andrews himself, buried and forgotten after 1912. Shock rippled through the team. Could the Titanic's sinking have been more than an accident? Evidence suggested a deliberate cover-up, a century-old conspiracy to suppress this technology. The ship, once a symbol of luxury and tragedy, now held secrets that could have reshaped the modern world. Suddenly, history was no longer just something to preserve, it was a mystery demanding answers. 1 year after the monumental recovery, the Titanic rested inside a colossal glass and steel museum in New York. Portions of the ship had been meticulously preserved, damaged sections left intact, cleaned and sealed in a vacuum to withstand time indefinitely. The hull gleamed under carefully controlled light, while corridors and cabins echoed with the whispers of history. Sarah Tran walked slowly along the main deck, her eyes tracing the polished railings and reinforced bulkheads. As she passed the grand staircase, she thought she saw fleeting images of passengers from a bygone era, smiling, frozen in memory, yet somehow present. The Titanic was no longer merely a grave. It had become a lesson in human ambition, hubris, and the enduring power of remembrance. Outside, through the glass walls, the city pulsed with life. The final camera shot pulled back, rising above the museum. The Titanic lay peacefully, a silent witness to the past, suspended between history and modernity, eternal and untouchable, a monument to tragedy, survival, and the reverence of memory.